Hello, my name is Striketh, and today I'm going to be talking about a bit of a controversial topic that affects pretty much every streamer out there that nobody really wants to talk about. There are two main topics that I've seen that tend to be kind of taboo. One of them is the money side of things. Nobody really talks about the money they make because there tends to be a lot of pushback from the viewer side of things when they bring that up. It's really interesting, but we're not going to talk about that today. The topic we are going to be talking about is the mental health side of being a streamer. I think it's really important to get that out there and to have a conversation about it. Now, I'm not a therapist or a psychologist. I'm just going off of my own experiences and the experiences that have been shared with me by other streamers along the way. So I really think it's important to preface that. But I've been doing this for about 2.5 years now. I've built a solid community along the way, and I want to share the knowledge that I've gained with you, especially if you are considering streaming for the first time. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. There's 3 main phases as I see them, and we're going to go ahead and cover each phase and kind of break it down and talk about it and what it represents. So I hope you'll join me along the way. My name is Striketh, and these are my thoughts. So the first phase of 3 that I like to sort of place being a streamer into is the honeymoon phase. It's pretty much the same as being in a new relationship, whether you're just getting married or just dating somebody for the first time. You start streaming, you do it 4, 5, 6, 7 days a week, and you think about streaming when you're not streaming. You could be walking down the street, you could be driving to your full-time job, you could be in the shower, on the toilet, you could be dreaming about it, whatever. You're just always thinking about it. You're super excited. You're full of energy. You just want to create. And that's the honeymoon phase. And that's where a lot of people meet their first burnout, their first phase of burnout. It's usually when they first start here and they just can't stop streaming, and that's all they think about. It consumes their life. At the end of the day, many people find that they're still streaming to 0 or maybe even 1 or 2 people after the first few weeks or few months, and it never really seems to change. People come to the stream, they pop in, they leave. The viewer count starts to get to them. Their lack of views gets to them. The fact that they've been almost affiliate for a month gets to them. So on and so forth. And that's assuming you do Twitch, of course. I stream on Twitch, and so I tend to speak in Twitch terms. Of course, there's other platforms out there that you can stream on, like Mixer, Facebook Gaming, right here on YouTube, and so on and so forth, right? But I primarily stream on Twitch, and I still do it 5 days a week myself after 2.5 years. 4 hours a day, 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern, and it works. I enjoy it, but it's not for everybody. The honeymoon phase quickly leads to a lot of people starting to move towards the next phase, which I'll talk about here in a second. And this can kind of come upon you really quickly, or it could take years for you to get there. But the most important thing to really realize here is that it's a bit of a curve. You start off in the beginning and you go, wow, I'm so excited, I'm so full of energy, my mental state is fantastic, and then it kind of hits its peak, and if you don't really see the growth that you were expecting, or if the stream in general seems to not flourish as well as you thought, that kind of starts taking a downward turn. And as that downward turn happens, your mental state tends to also suffer along with it. That's where all the negative thoughts come from, where you start to doubt yourself, or you start to think that your content is bad. And the mental state, the depression factor that you can get from that is pretty significant. I've had it myself where I would start to stream up. I would focus entirely on how many viewers I had over the course of the stream, and I could see my mental state fluctuate based on how many people were in the stream. If I was streaming to 10 people, right, and then all of a sudden it dropped down to 5 or 6, I would think to myself, I must be doing something horrendously wrong. Maybe I'm not talking enough. Maybe I'm not talking about things that are interesting enough. Maybe my gameplay isn't interesting. Maybe I need to start doing funny things in the game. Or maybe I need to come up with gimmicks to keep people interested. I know, I need more bot games. That'll keep people engaged during slow times on the stream, and so on and so forth. Your mind takes you to all kinds of really weird places, and you start trying things that don't really work, and the stream doesn't get any better. It's just one of those psychological factors where negativity kind of reinforces more negativity, right? And you keep trying and trying and trying and trying and trying, and it seems like every time you try something, it's worse than the last time you tried it. And then you stream for another 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, whatever, and you look at the average afterwards, and your average viewer count is like 2, and you've been at 2 for the last few weeks. This is what being a brand new streamer is like. Now, some people, of course, beat the odds. If you have an existing viewership on another platform like YouTube, for example, and you bring them with you, you're not going to run into this. You're already going to have viewers there. If you have people on any other platform and they come with you to Twitch or Mixer or whatever, then you're probably fine, right? You're not going to go through this. But this is really geared at the brand new streamer that doesn't have a following anywhere and are just going live on Twitch or wherever for the first time and just hoping beyond hope for the best. And they don't have really a game plan at all. They just think people are going to find their stream because they're funny. Their best friend says they're hilarious. And they think that their personality is somehow going to magically draw people to the stream who will never actually find them because of a platform that has bad discoverability the vast majority of the time. It's interesting. It really is. But it leads to a lot of depression, and you have people that are sort of in this state who never get past it, and then they quit after 2, 3 months, maybe 5 or 6 in some cases. They make it that far. And this leads me to the second phase, the realization phase, as I call it. This is when you realize that you haven't quite grown as much as you thought you would. It's been 6 months or 8 months or 10 months. A lot of people don't make it past that first year. They start streaming because their friends or another streamer told them they should. And like, go for it, man, it doesn't hurt anything. And they really put their all into it, but their stream just never took off. And they realize this, and this is where they either quit or they continue to plow forward, hoping beyond hope that this is my year. And you know what? This first year is a bust. Everybody struggles their first year. It's my second year. That's when it's going to take off. And then before you know it, they're on their 4th year and nothing has really changed. That happens. I've seen people who hit 2.5, 3.5 years quit streaming because they never managed to average higher than single-digit numbers. It's unfortunate. It really is. And it's just a realization that you have to come to on your own. Is this for me? Should I be doing this? Is my energy better spent elsewhere? Personally, my opinion is that if you haven't seen growth on your stream within 3 to 4 months of doing it, then you should probably stop and take your energy elsewhere. Now, this is not going to apply to everybody, of course. You can go any direction with this. You can just keep plodding forward, but the reality is, if you haven't seen growth by that point, and I'm talking even like just a base community of 5 to 10 people being in your stream every time you stream, then odds are you're not gonna really ever get there, unless you change something much later on. For example, getting into a solid community that has a dedicated player base that will come help you out. That's kind of where I started, just by accident. I just wanted to play a game, and it just turned out that that community was dedicated and very helpful. And most of my regulars and mods are from that era. To this day, they still come back to the stream. I feel like I got lucky by just picking the right game at the right time. The other aspect, of course, it's not just numbers, it's also the other direction. What if you have come to the realization that it's not just about streaming? that there's a lot more that goes into it than hitting the go live button and playing a video game for a few hours. I'll give you an example, okay? I work 40 hours a week. I'm a part-time content creator. I have a full-time job. I stream 20 hours a week. I am now also making YouTube content once a week. Thankfully, I have an editor now to help me out behind the scenes, and that is going to take a huge burden off me because I don't have a lot of free time as it is, but not everybody can do this, and so you also probably have to edit your own videos if you do YouTube content, right? I spend a lot of time running my community, doing social media stuff, and roughly on an average week, I'm working around 85-ish hours, and I've done the math, and that leaves me about 27 hours of free time per week where I'm not doing content creation. That's my nap time when I'm really exhausted from working basically 12-hour days not every day, but 5 days a week. If I want to play a video game off stream, or if I want to watch some Netflix and catch up on a show, that's all the time I get to myself. And it might sound like a lot, but when you really boil it down, it's not. And I just happen to have the luxury of being able to do that right now because I'm single, but I know a lot of people don't. Being a content creator is a huge drain on your time. Just the community and social media stuff alone is very time consuming, and it requires constant attention. You can't just not talk in your Discord. You can't just not post things in social media. You kind of have to. It's part of the gig. It comes with the territory. You have to, period. I mean, I guess you don't have to if you're just streaming for fun, but if you want to make this a career, it's imperative. You have to do it. You might have hit that realization that, oh my goodness, it's gonna take me so much more time than I originally thought to be a content creator. Now, the other realization is a more interesting one. This is actually if you've seen success. What happens if you've seen success and you're doing really well and your community has exploded in size? I mean, you might already be close to partner. There's people that actually grow really quickly on Twitch. They get the right place at the right time. They find the right people, and all of a sudden, they blow up. Well, now you've gone from having 2 or 3 people in your stream every day to 60 or 100 or 150 or 1,000 or whatever it might be, right? And you are not prepared for it. You've come to the realization that there's no way that you're ever gonna have enough time to manage everything you need to manage, and to moderate your chat and run your community and grow your social media, deal with potential sponsorships. And all of a sudden you have to consider quitting your job if you have one. And there's so many more factors that come with being a streamer than just streaming. Again, it's another realization factor here. All of these things together kind of make up the realization phase, and I think it's really important to keep them in mind. Yes, there are a lot of people on Twitch that never really see any sort of success. There are people that do see a lot of success, but they're equally unprepared for this particular phase. And then, of course, you have the people in the middle who have seen a little bit of success, but not enough to really make it worth it, and they don't know what to do. I've known people, like I said, that have single-digit numbers. They have people that come to the stream every time they stream, but they never really see growth. They just kind of have stagnated for half a year or more with the same numbers and the same people, and they can't retain any of the new people that come to their stream, and they struggle. They go back and forth with themselves. Today is the day I quit. No, I shouldn't quit. I should keep going. No, I should quit. No, I shouldn't. And this is one of the toughest situations for any streamer to be in, right? Because if you see some success, you might even be getting a Twitch payout every month, or maybe every other month. It depends, right? Do you quit or do you keep at it? And I can't answer that for you, but I will say, if it's having a real toll on your mental state, if you are depressed because of content creation, then you should probably consider making a change. It's just that easy. Alright, so We're going to go ahead and talk about the last phase now. This is what I call the decision phase. You've gone along your journey. You started with the honeymoon phase, you hit the realization phase, and now some sort of decision has been made. There's a conclusion of sorts. And these are usually boiled down, in my experience, to about 1 of 5 scenarios, though these don't encompass everything. Number 1, you have just quit streaming. You're done, game over, man, moved on. Number 2, you are still streaming, but nothing is really happening. It's just you keep doing it, and nothing changes on your stream. You're not really seeing growth, and it's kind of stagnated. Number 3, you have moved to another platform. You gave up on Twitch or Mixer or wherever it is you're at, and you just went elsewhere. Number 4, you saw that explosive growth I mentioned earlier, and then you just succeeded, and you're doing great. Congratulations. I actually think you're awesome. Good job. Number 5, you failed. You had that explosive growth, and it all fell apart, and now you've got a fraction of the viewers you used to have, or maybe you just quit altogether. Those are the main ones I've seen over time, and they all come with their own mental pressures, and it's important to keep that in mind. I sort of wanted to go through the whole journey first before I got to this last part. I've experienced the 0 viewer thing. I streamed in the beginning. I didn't have hardly anybody in my stream. I streamed entire games where nobody talked for a week or 2, and I had no viewers come in. I got a little bit lucky in that I picked a smaller game that had a dedicated community in the beginning, so I had actually built a viewership in about 3 months. But a lot of people go much longer and don't see that. Now, once you get past that, you sort of hit this weird phase where you have gotten some growth, you built a Discord community, your stream is growing, but you are stretched thin. Like, you can't do everything you want to do in a day, and you have to maintain everything yourself. You're not at the size where you can kind of delegate things like, hey, you run my Discord for me. You can't really do that yet. You have to be actively involved in your Discord. You're kind of the glue that holds your whole community together. And if you take a break, or if you stop interacting with your community, they will kind of just disperse into the wind most of the time. This can't account for every single community, but it's usually what I've seen. And all of these come with their own mental pressures, and depression becomes a real thing. When you start streaming and you get behind the camera, you are taking a huge responsibility upon yourself, and that you're going to do this on a regular basis. And all of that pressure to perform, to constantly do better, starts to mount in the back of your mind. You look at other content creators that started around the same time as you, and you keep comparing yourself to them. And you go into your dashboard and you look at your stats, and you see that you've had a week or 2 where you didn't get a single follow, or you lost followers, or you lost viewers. People stopped coming to the stream, and you keep sort of beating yourself up over it. You know, oh man, what am I doing wrong? I've been there before as well. The viewer count is one of the most toxic numbers in my opinion, because it has an actual effect on many people during their actual stream, and it can drag them down. If they're streaming to 10 people and all of a sudden they look over and there's only 2 people in the stream, well, now they're going to think that, oh my god, I must have done something wrong. I drove them away. I'm not interesting enough. I'm boring. What did you do wrong? Nothing. You didn't do anything wrong. That's the kind of thought process that creeps up on you, though. Streaming is not for the faint of heart. It requires a lot of mental fortitude, because there is so many factors that will drive you down. Whether it's your own thoughts, whether it's trolls coming into your stream, the external forces that tend to have an effect on you, and it can drive you to some pretty dark places. At times it can feel like you're juggling, right? You're juggling a bunch of balls, and all of a sudden you got 4, and then 5, and then 6, and then 8, and more, and eventually you can't keep up anymore, and you drop them all. And those are the days when you can't stream, when it becomes too much. The toll of streaming crushes you. It's like a tsunami. It's just coming directly at you, and the thought of hitting the go live button is equivalent to drowning. It's a crazy, really crazy place to be, but it happens, and that's when you take that day off, that week off, 2 months off, and then you have your coming back stream and you try it again, or maybe you never get back into it. It happens, and I wanted to try and make people aware of the actual toll that streaming can take on an individual by making this video. To wrap things up, whether you have 0 viewers or 1,000, being a content creator comes with a whole lot of stress, and you have to realize this ahead of time and be prepared for the stress and potential mental toll it's going to take on you. Keep this in mind. It's incredibly important to go into this with realistic expectations, which is all I'm trying to do here. I'm not trying to dissuade anybody from being a streamer. Go out there, try it, do your best, but recognize the signs when all of a sudden you hate hitting the go live button, or maybe one day getting out of bed is harder than it was the previous day, or you stop talking in your Discord altogether and you just aren't happy anymore, because it happens. It's tough. It's not easy, and I just want you to recognize that. That's all. That's all there is to it. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up now. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you ever want to stop by my stream, I stream Tuesday to Saturday, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern on Twitch. You can find my link above, twitch.tv/Striketh, and feel free to drop by. It's what I do. I love to chat, and I have a lot of fun with my community, just talking about all kinds of great stuff. We have a pretty positive environment, and we get into some pretty deep discussions sometimes. So we also play video games too, and I love those as well, but I think it's really important to connect with the people in the community. I love doing this kind of thing right here where I talk to people. And remember, if you liked the video, click that like button below, and if you really enjoyed it, click the subscribe button and ding the bell. I'm gonna have a new video out about once every week going forward, and they're gonna be about topics just like this. So once again, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. My name is Striketh, and these have been my thoughts. Take care. I think I picked the right character though, because it hasn't been that bad so far. Oh my god! I did not expect the wall to explode.